Wedding Planning Podcast.
Team DJ, team live band, or team just give me a decent Spotify playlist and a speaker?
Have you already started hunting Facebook Marketplace for tea light holders?
Are you agonising over aisle songs or wondering if you really need a microphone for your outdoor vows?
Hi everyone and welcome back to Wildly Wed, the Real Wedding Planning Podcast.
We're your hosts. I'm Keshira from Keshira Creative Events.
And I'm Vicky from Spot On Ceremonies. And this time round, we're talking about the heartbeat of your wedding day: music, entertainment, lighting and sound. So whether you're vibing with a string quartet, dreaming of a silent disco, or maybe just trying to figure out if uplighting is just the way the lights go up, don't worry, we've got you.
We have. So let's start. We're going to talk about wedding music first.
Okay.
And ceremony vibes. So from the aisle walk to signing the register, your exit song, what happens when your guests arrive and you're not there yet, maybe?
Ooh, yeah.
We've got to set the tone.
Yes.
And it is the first bit. It's the first thing that your guests know about your day is they come in and do you have a cellist playing some lovely classical pieces? Do you have a cellist playing some modern pieces?
Or a singer?
Do you have a singer? Do you have an organist? Are you getting married in the church? Or do you have like some kind of rocking playlist? Who knows? It's up to you.
Absolutely up to you. And there is no right or wrong about it. But you're right, it does set the tone. And I think as well, that first, when people come in and they hear that first bit of music, it does give you a bit of a free-soul. It's excitement because it's that we're doing this. It's like the overture to your wedding, really.
Yeah, and it's things, if it's songs and people, you know, people at your wedding should know you pretty well. So it should give them that, oh yeah, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to see these guys get married. And I love a bit of acoustic guitar. I love that kind of background, but it's there, it's real life, but also a Spotify playlist is absolutely fine.
But I think also it's worth mentioning, you need to think a little bit about the venue, where you are. I mean, just if you have a sort of string quartet, but you're getting married in a very small, intimate room, too much. So, you know, think about your acoustics, your venue, actually how many people you've got there as well. You know, having the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra when you've got a guest list of 50 is probably overkill.
I don't know. I think that sounds
I knew you were going to say that.
If I could have the whole of the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra at my wedding, even if there was just like 4 people, I'd be down for that.
All right, I take that back then. If you can you can have the Royal Philharmonic. But it is just worth keeping in mind your acoustics, the size of your venue, the size of your guest list. And also, I think, just be true to yourself as well. I recently did a wedding where they had a sax player, which was beautiful. And it was only after the event that they sort of said, oh, actually, yeah, we're not that fussed on sax music, but we thought that's probably what you do. And you were like, no.
I think you've got to pick songs that mean something to you, because the ceremony is that. It's all about what your story is, what it means to you as a couple, how, you know, what the journey you've been on. So if something doesn't mean anything to you, sack it off.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to know what I walked down the aisle to?
Yes. Yes.
So I had spent quite a big part of my early theatre career in Fireman Sam and Postman Pat, the musicals.
This is magic.
Theme tunes to both Postman Pat and Fireman Sam featured.
Oh, I'm so totally up for that. Fireman Sam, I think, is my favourite of the 2.
Well, anyway, the point is, it made everybody smile. It made everyone smile because most people there were very well aware of the fact that I had been firefighter Penny Morris and Mrs. Goggins, and so it had, as you say, that real relevance, and it really made people smile.
I actually can't remember the name of the song I walked down the aisle to, but my son, it was his favourite classical music piece. Who knew that a 13-year-old had a favourite classical music piece?
Fair play.
And recently he's just learned how to play it on the piano.
Oh, that's really lovely.
Yeah, really cute. And I think it's stuff like that. If there's something, if you don't have a song that you want to walk down the aisle to, is there something that means something to someone close to you? Because that's really lovely for me to think. I actually still don't know the name of it, but I hear him playing it in his room. He's now 17 and he's sitting on the piano playing the song I walked down the aisle to.
And that's beautiful. And I think, this is not the moment to worry about whether it's cool.
No.
It's just if Postman Pat or, something deeply uncool, the Wurzels. I've had a bride that's walked down the aisle to the Wurzels. It's fine. Personal trumps everything, I think, when it comes particularly with that first piece of music that your guests hear, that you walk down the aisle to. Got to be gorgeous. Got to be you.
Metallica, whatevs.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, I think ceremonies, the other things to consider are how many songs you actually need.
Yes.
So if you're doing a playlist, you actually don't need that much music for the ceremony itself. Yes, you might want things when people arrive, but during the ceremony, if it's for walking down the aisle, time it, see how long that song is, because if it's miles long, you're going to end up cutting it short.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you'll be standing at the end of the aisle awkwardly just waiting, unless you are not awkwardly waiting and you're dancing like a lunatic, which might be fun too.
Or if you've got live music, you can then sort of work with your musician to create a sort of arrangement specifically for you to walk into. But again, all that sort of thing needs pre-planning.
Yeah, and then if it's for your legal wedding and you're signing the register, you probably only need 2 songs during the signing of the register. It doesn't take long.
It doesn't. You might have some photographs taken, and actually even with the celebrant-led ceremony we have a certificate, a sort of ceremonial certificate for people to sign. So that's probably the second point I would say, that you would need music. But then I'm doing a wedding tomorrow where we've got live music, somebody's singing as well. So we've actually got 3 pieces.
Yes, I was just about to say, if you're having a celebrant ceremony, you can have a friend sing a song.
Totally.
You can do that instead of a reading.
You can all sing a song. You can have a group song. I mean, we've had Sweet Caroline is a favourite.
Right.
Get everyone doing their bam, 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 all of that kind of stuff. But, whatever. If singing or music is important to you and you think, do you know what, we might just like a verse and a chorus of Bring Me Sunshine or whatever.
Nice.
Absolutely fill your boots.
And after you've done the signing bit, actually the only song you really need is
something
the
to
recessional,
exit.
So something to exit to, and that's your ceremony music done. So if you're a real muso, you might spend a fair bit of time on that. If you're not, don't worry, because it's a really small part. Just make sure it's about you. And then when you leave your ceremony into the reception, what do you do about music there? So I guess again, you can either not have music at all. That's an option.
Yes.
People can play games. If you're outside, you don't need to have music. Or you could have whoever your band or whatever your musicians were for your ceremony. Generally, you book them for a slightly longer period. So they would do your ceremony and stay on to do,
say,
a 45-minute set background at your reception. Or you change it up completely and you have a different band or musician do your reception. If you're even having a reception.
Well, that's the thing. Maybe not. But I suppose the other thing then is again sort of considering the vibe, the feelings that you want to kind of create. Do you want it to be very laid back? Are you looking for a slightly more formal affair? Because that, I think, to a degree dictates your music, even whether it's live or a playlist. It will give you a really good steer on sort of what you're aiming at. If you're looking for something that perhaps has a sort of greater air of formality to it, the Sex Pistols probably are not going to feature. But, maybe they will. Who knows? There's no, as I say, no right or wrong about it.
Yeah, I know we're going to talk in a little bit about lighting and sound, but whatever it is you choose to do with music, you've just got to have a think about what your venue is capable of and whether you need to hire things or
for sure
how it's going to play. And musicians generally will bring their own equipment. So a lot of the time that's part of the package, but all things you need to check because...
I was going to say, always ask questions. Even if it seems glaringly obvious to you, always ask the question. I mean, for instance, if you think, we're just going to run it off a Spotify playlist, well, check. Do you need to provide the Bluetooth speaker or whatever to play it out on? Or does the venue take care of that? But if it is not clear from your venue's sort of email exchanges or paperwork that they have with you, for goodness sake, dot the I's, cross the T's, be absolutely certain.
Yeah, and if it is a playlist as well, I find quite often people will go, we're going to do a playlist, and then I get there and like, what device is your playlist on? On my phone. So I'm going to stand all day with your phone and monitor your playlist? No, get a different device. If you've got an iPad, if you've got something else, make sure it is downloaded as well. So we're not live streaming from an attachment in an email, which I had recently, because things drop out. A lot of wedding venues are in the middle of nowhere.
I was going to say 2 or 3 that I can think of immediately. You've got next to no reception of any kind, so your reception will be very quiet too if you don't download it.
Exactly. So yeah, reception music generally will follow on from your ceremony, but you can do things however you want. Don't forget that bit.
Yeah. And then let's get on down for the evening party. What do we look at for that? Is it always just a DJ? Have we got options there?
So, no, obviously not. You've got no options whatsoever. No, of course you have. You've got as many options as you want, really. If you're having a party, which obviously some people don't even want to go into the party element, but if you are, you've got a band, you've got DJ, you can have both if your budget allows. You can have a think about what you do to lead up to that. So during the dinner, do you have any background music? One of the things I often say to people, because I think people spend quite a lot of time thinking about the playlist for their background music for their meal, actually it's one of the areas that just gets lost.
Yeah.
You don't really have it. So if there are songs you desperately want played at your wedding, actually put them to the DJ or the band.
Yes.
Because you're not going to hear them most of the time during a meal. During the meal, everyone's chatting. There's lots going on.
To be fair, it is only music anoraks like my husband that would go, "Oh, tune," halfway through pudding. And they're out there, they walk amongst us. But absolutely, on the whole, you're right, that's the least sort of memorable music that will be played on the day.
And so when you get to the evening, it's about thinking, what have you done so far in the day? Where's your budget best spent on music? Because if you really want a killer band, you might need to forego some music in your ceremony to hit your budget correctly, like making sure you don't overspend, because a really, really great wedding band, like the function band, they are going to set you back thousands of pounds.
Okay.
But there are local bands, and one of the things I think is really good to do is go out to your local pubs.
Absolutely. Go and check out your local live music scene, and do it in plenty of time as well, because the good ones usually are quite often in demand and well booked. But I think, apart from anything else, it's a really nice thing to do in the lead up to your wedding, when you perhaps stress and over all sorts of things. Go out with your other half to, take in some live music gigs and see local bands and local singers, see what flows. I mean, one of my first weddings, actually, the singer, and she was a soloist, was somebody who the couple literally stumbled across in a pub. She'd never done a wedding before, never even thought about it, but she was just the right vibe for what they were looking for, and they sort of signed her up on the spot. So really, just a night in the pub can prove really, really...
And who doesn't want an evening out? So I think look out for local bands, but also just be aware that is quite a big bit of your budget, and it could be, a local band could be up to or around 1,000, 1,500. So even if you're looking local, you're probably still going to pay a fair bit, because they've got to come along, they've got to bring equipment. A lot of the time they'll bring some lighting as well, so just check with them what it is they're going to bring.
And of course, if it's a band, that's the fee that they'll be splitting between them.
Exactly.
So,
and a few little hints and tips for your timeline on the day. Don't forget, if you've got a band coming, they're going to want to sound check.
Yes.
So where does that fit in your day? Because you don't want to be paying them extra to come in earlier. So you need to have that conversation with them and check, how long does it take you to set up? Normally about an hour. How long is your sound check? Normally 15 minutes, 30 minutes. So when does that fit? Is there a point after your dinner that you can all head outside for another drink, or you can do something that doesn't matter? Or is there a point that you don't mind them sound checking? There's lots of things to think about there. And if you go for DJ, that's actually a physical human person. A band can do all the bangers, can get everyone on the dance floor. So can a DJ. A really good DJ will read the room, will get the energy right, will make sure there's no gaps between songs. So that's the difference between a DJ and just having a playlist. They can really tailor it to suit. They can some of them might take some requests as well, but it's about building the atmosphere.
Yeah. So they host it, really. I guess that's the difference, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, really good DJs are amazing because they do totally lift the mood. But you do check when you're looking for a DJ, make sure that you have those conversations. What's your style? How do you read the room? Do you have something that you always do? What is it? Because it might not suit you, you know. One of my friends said that she now looks back and that's the one thing she would change. She would just say, zip it, DJ Phil, because she said he wouldn't shut up.
Right.
One thing to have somebody creating a bit of atmosphere, another to have somebody who was treating the whole thing like an audition for himself.
I'm not a big fan of DJs chatting.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't need to chat. You need to play really good songs. But yeah, there's things to think about when you're talking to DJs and when you're looking at the bands. And also, if you're having a band will always generally do 2 sets. What happens in between those sets?
Yeah.
So just checking with the band, they most likely will have a playlist they can put on. Or they might also, if your second set finishes at, say, 10 o'clock, but your venue's till midnight, are the band willing to stay on and have a playlist playing through their speaker system? Because the last thing you need is to have to hire in a PA and speaker system
just for that last
last bit, or just for the bit in between. So there's a lot of logistics around the music in the evening. So just have a real good think about that.
I mean, obviously, if you've got an ace wedding planner, all of that is taken care for you, isn't it, Keshira?
The other thing I'd say about bands is they always need a meal, and they normally need a green room space.
Fair enough.
So things to watch out for.
Wildly Wed, the real wedding planning podcast.
Okay, so we all really love a packed dance floor, but what else can you do to kind of bring the entertainment to your big day?
Well, there's all the usual things. So
Which are?
Well, like photo booths. They're great, and that can build your guest book as well if you're not sure how to do a guest book. Magic mirrors, kind of similar to photo booths, are like literally a magic mirror, but it takes photos of your guests. Lawn games, so popular.
Oh, what? Things like the giant Jenga and that kind of caper?
Yeah.
Croquet.
Badonk.
Badonk.
I really like that word.
Badonk.
So they're your kind of usual suspects. You'll find lots of suppliers offering things like that. One of the things I would suggest is when you're looking at suppliers, just check their full range of what they offer, because it might be that the place that you're hiring chairs and tables and furniture from also hires games. It might be that your photo booth company also does photography and video, or I think there's a photo booth company in West Sussex that does photo booths and DJing. I mean, I guess
not naturally together, but you know.
But just be aware of what your suppliers do in totality.
Okay.
So you don't end up paying lots of different people to do lots of little bits if you can get it all in one.
So it's like going to them with your wish list. This is what we're coming to you for. But can you help with any of these things? What else could you literally bring to my party?
Exactly. So they're kind of the usual bits, but then we need to think about the unusual, because that's what we're all about.
Yeah, we love a bit of unusual. Come on then, what's your favourite unusuals?
My favourite is illustrators and artists. So I'm a big fan of having something lasting after the day.
Yeah.
So you've got your photos, you've got your videos, and then is it something that's lasting for you to keep? Is it something for your guests? So there's different ways of doing it. Last year I had two separate weddings. One wedding had an artist who stood at the back of the ceremony and painted the ceremony.
Oh my goodness.
And it was just incredible to watch her work. So she got there a little bit early, set up her easels, set up her, all her paints and things, and she painted the outline of what the ceremony would look like. Really kind of roughly got the shape of it. Then obviously she hadn't seen the bride's dress, she hadn't seen what the groom was wearing, she hadn't seen any of that. And when the ceremony was on, she was just picking up the most intricate, beautiful bits. So the mother of the groom, I think it was wearing a fabulous hat. So she made sure she got that hat in. She made sure she got the colours of some of the people's dresses.
So there's literal beautiful snapshot memories.
Exactly. And
that's so lovely.
She also, which is really clever, and illustrators do this as well, she took a photo of it, a few photos on her phone, so that, because she couldn't possibly complete that
just
painting.
to give her a point of reference.
Yeah, exactly. So she stayed until probably about half an hour after the ceremony so that people could come and see what she was painting. And then she takes it away, finishes the painting, and it gets sent back to the couple. And you've got this beautiful piece of art. So that's one way of doing art. But the other way is live illustrators that illustrate your guests. And there's different styles to that. So you could go more caricature style, you could go classic, you can go really like fine line watercolours.
And pencil sketch.
And that's something that your guests can then take away with them. So they've got a drawing. Or for my wedding, we had an artist and she came and she did line drawings. She had a sketchbook and she did line drawings for about 3 hours just throughout the day, just followed, like walked around, sat down, did line drawings. We've got this whole sketchbook.
That's lovely.
Of beautiful little moments. And she wrote a little note by each sketch that kind of said, grandma holding hand, things like that. So for me, the unusual, and also probably less unusual now, is getting more and more popular, is the art.
Yeah.
What about you? What's your fave?
Well, you see, it won't surprise you to know the drag queens feature. I do love a drag queen. But drag queens, singing waiters, if you know that will go down well, and that sort of fun element, they can work really, really well, that sort of thing.
I've got a fab drag queen at one of my weddings this year, actually.
How wonderful.
It's because the couple are moving from venue to venue, and so all their guests are getting on a double-decker bus, and they're going for a little drive around the South Downs in between venues, and they're having a drag queen join them on the bus to sing some tunes.
Amazing. I love that. You can even think about having a drag queen celebrant. But then I guess you've got things like... I think it was you that mentioned to me poets, spoken word poets, sort of almost rapping, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think if you've got a poet that you love, or if you're into poetry, it might be that your friends are poets. That's something that you can have. You can have magicians walking around doing the kind of what's it called, close-up, which I get so confused by magicians that I have to walk away because I just want to know the answers. But magicians are popular. Things later on in the evening, so you don't have to do all your entertainment in your reception.
Yeah, keep your powder dry.
Yeah, you can keep adding little bits and pieces. So silent disco, I love it.
You see, that's my idea of hell.
Is it?
I hate silent discos.
I love a silent disco.
What is the point? I hate it.
Well, the point is, there's a few points, right? Let's get into it. A few points. Firstly, do you have a venue that you've got a curfew?
So then it's practical.
So that is, we want to carry on. We're allowed to stay later, but we're not allowed to make noise.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's
Second point,
sensible.
If you are like me and you can't sing, putting on a headset and singing and dancing, no, you don't think anyone can hear you. The only people that can hear you is the poor people that don't have the headsets on.
Yeah.
Also, it's great. Kids love it. You have different channels. You can have a DJ live DJing on one channel. You can have a cheesy 80s channel. Vicky is not buying this from me.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong, cheesy 80s. You had me at cheesy 80s. But I want that pumping out the system. I want everyone to hear it. I want it to be an inclusive kind of all in, and I don't get that with the silent thing. I'm wrong generation perhaps, I don't know, but it just does not float my dinghy.
I'm well up for a silent disco. But some other bits, I've got a couple this year who they just don't love noise and music and partying, so they are doing board games.
Oh, now that's gorgeous.
So that is what, they're going to have lots of different board games laid out. People can get involved, play games. I think there's maybe some kind of quiz element as well. So it really depends what you want to do and who you are.
Yeah. And things like, I suppose, again, this is a later in the evening, but if you have the facility to do it, things like fire pits, hot chocolate stations and toasted marshmallows and all that caper, if you want to do that, is another possibility.
Loads of different ways and loads more things that are up and coming. So there is something new every season.
Without doubt. And it's just like, oh, are you doing this? And I think the other thing to mention as well is I've done a couple of weddings where people have had sort of open mic spots and they've invited their guests. It absolutely depends on your guest list and how comfortable and indeed talented your guests are. But we did one a couple of years ago where literally we had Auntie playing the spoons and she was cracking at it. I've never seen it. She was really good. But then followed by a couple of little girls duetting, really pretty, and then somebody playing Love Me Tender on the recorder, which wasn't so pretty, but you know. But you can, there is an opportunity to involve your guests if that sort of thing is the way you want to head.
Yeah, and I think, like we said earlier, you've got a whole day there, and actually some entertainment is lovely, but your guests can chat to each other.
Well, absolutely, and you shouldn't feel pressurised to kind of entertain your guests. They're not toddlers. You don't have to keep them sort of entertained at all times. And also a wedding day for everybody is sort of sensory overload, really. It's wonderful. So it's quite nice to have those pockets of quiet or where people just are chatting. Let's face it, at a wedding, mostly there will be people who haven't seen each other for ages, who haven't met each other before and would appreciate the quiet sort of moment to perhaps have a cup of tea with somebody and get to know them. So yeah, you don't feel like you've got to babysit everyone all the time.
So obviously you're entertaining your guests. We've talked about sound and making sure you've got everything, but lighting, how, a venue looks completely different from day and night, and the whole reason of that is because of the lighting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's evocative. It sets talking about setting the tone early on for your ceremony, lighting really sets the mood, I think, later on.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, stretch tents are really popular now, and I think they look gorgeous. One of the things to be really aware of is the lighting inside them. So you work with a fantastic company that does stretch tents. They'll show you the best lighting to have inside there. There's a lovely company, I'm going to do a shout out now, Taylor's Tents and Events, and they're based in West Sussex, and they are so lovely to speak to and to deal with. They'll show you how to light their tent to make it really stand out for you, and how to move that from the morning through the day into the evening. So you've got to think about things like uplighting. Do you have festoon lighting, fairy lights? And with uplighting, you can uplight if you've got an incredible tree in the garden. Uplight that tree, uplight your backdrops. Think about those bits that you really want to stand out. Neon signs and things are fun.
I love a neon sign. I'll be honest, I do.
Do you? There we go. Vicky's into her neon signs.
I love it.
If you find there are LED dance floors out there sometimes, so there might
cheesy 80s music in the neon dance floor. Yes,
I think,
please.
To be honest, I think they're going to set you back a little bit, but they're out there. And then think about candles. Some venues won't allow them.
I was going to say, be wary of that.
We're in a different world now. You can get battery operated candles, and they do not look terrible at all.
No, they've really moved on a pace, I think, in the last few years. I mean, go back a bit and they really look naff. But now, actually, you're hard pushed to tell the difference.
Yeah, I'd say the one thing that I still struggle to find when I'm searching for LED candles is different coloured candles.
Oh, okay.
And they will say, they're not obviously not as cheap as a candle, but they're reusable. You can sell them on. You can, keep them. So candles do set the tone. If you are having real candles and you've got linen on your table, then make sure you have something underneath the candle to catch the wax.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise your charge when you return that linen is going to be sky high.
Yeah.
But lots of ways to make lighting work for you. Speak to whoever is looking after your lighting. Speak to your wedding planner. Speak to the venue. Your sound person is probably going to have an idea about lighting too. Yeah. So just have a real think about lighting. It's like lighting, sound and smell as well. Things to consider.
I'll stick with the candles. Thanks very much. 4 candles.
Wildly Wed, the real wedding planning podcast.
So we're going to talk a little bit now about hire versus buy, because it's very easy, isn't it, to kind of think, I'm going to need all this stuff. I'll buy it. Mm-hmm. But row back from that, what should we be thinking about? Where is it okay or sensible to spend, and where is it sensible to look at hiring?
At the end of the day, it is entirely up to your budget and you, but let's think sustainably as well. Hire it if you're only going to use it once. Hire it if you don't want to store it resell it after, which is where I got a bit stuck, and I've still got a giant double peacock chair in storage because I can't get it out because I don't have a van big enough. Hire it if it's big, it's fragile, it's technical, things like sound systems, festoon lights, anything that you just don't have a further use for.
Yeah.
But buying it, if it's cheaper to buy than hire, then sometimes that's worth looking at.
So what sort of thing are we looking at?
Like picture frames from IKEA.
Oh, what? So for menu cards or whatever?
Tiny. Yeah. It's generally your tiny bits. Most stuff now is available to hire. Most of those hire items are going to be more sustainable and more affordable than buying them. I really think, unless you're a real reseller, unless you love a vintage, a marketplace, the time it takes to sell things is...
It's time, and time is money.
I mean, I really don't like doing that, so I'm quite anti that. But buy it if you love reselling. Buy it if you think you can resell it afterwards. There are some fantastic wedding buying and selling groups.
Yeah, there are. To be fair, there really are, and people are getting bargains there. But
and also, like, buy it if you think you're going to reuse it. If you have loads of garden parties and you often have the use for a speaker or a little gazebo or some beautiful lights.
Or a double peacock chair.
Chair. You've seen my peacock chair.
I love
it's beautiful.
It is a gorgeous thing.
That's why I can't sell it, other than the fact that I can't physically move it.
No, but somebody might want to hire it. Please contact Keshira at Keshira Creative Events should you have a need.
But yeah, I think there are some absolutely incredible hire companies, and in our local area there's a couple of them. So Toast is brilliant, Luna and the Lane are brilliant. They also do some slightly more alternative bits and some bits of furniture, things that will just make your day feel that bit more luxe, but still really kind of boho chic and on trend. So I would be chatting to your wedding planner, chatting to your stylist, seeing if they've got a hire company they can recommend, or if you really want to buy, get on Facebook Marketplace.
That is a really good idea. So now on to our supplier top tip, and we're going to hear from Phil at Southlands Barn in West Cheltington.
My top tip for a wedding is to keep it simple. Remember, your friends and family are there to see you get married, not about the extras that you put into the day. So keep it simple. They're there for you.
Thank you, Phil. Top man.
And our sustainability tip is basically what I've just spoken about. Hiring versus buying. Hiring, less waste, fewer car boot sales in the future. You know, so much great stuff out there. So, yeah.
So our DIY tip, and we've touched on this already, but make your own playlists for different moments of the day. If that's where you're going to sort of position your music, do your different playlists, one for ceremony, one for reception drinks, one for mealtime. Pop them on Spotify and then share them with the guests after the day too, because that's a really lovely keepsake. Or ask your guests for a song request and include those too.
Next time we're diving into photography, videography and content creation. It's so chunky, we're going to stick with just that. And where can you find us? So you can find us on Instagram at WildlyWedPod. You can find us, you can listen to us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts and YouTube. And once this episode has been aired, our first video podcast will already be live on YouTube.
We will be vodding.
So we are Wildly Wed Pod. I'm Keshira.
I'm Vicky.
Thanks for listening.
Say I do to the Wildly Wed podcast. Follow us on Insta at Wildly Wed Pod.